Coming to live from our studios here at Kokomeme in Accra, this is Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Kaloni. In our headline this house, COP George Alex Manson accuses the Inspector General of the Ghana Police Service of shutting his doors to the public and engaging everybody in the service, including the Public Affairs Department. He says the leaked tape of him and others plotting to oust the IGP was leaked by the IGP himself. In our Forest Under Siege series, we tell you how the destruction caused to some forest reserves by illegal miners made a military brigadier general emotional. Also, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament justifies the additional 1 cedi payment by consumers on water bills for water treatment, citing the need for collaboration in sharing costs. Joy News Prime is live on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. On all social, we are Joy News. Also on DSTV channel 421, Go TV 125. We also have entertainment news also within this hour. Joy News, we are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Stay with us. Now let's begin from Parliament, where COP Alex Manson, the police officer at the center of the leaked IGP tape, is accusing Akufo-Addo of turning himself into a dictator in the Ghana Police Service by shutting everybody up, including the Public Affairs Department. According to him, this leadership style of Akufo-Addo has caused dissatisfaction in the service, a reason he is convinced he is the worst IGP Ghana has ever had. These were the additional revelations as the probe into the leaked IGP tape by Parliament Ad Hoc Committee continues.
Mr. Chairman, my intel suggests that what was used to tape the conversation was done by the current IGP. He sent some people to do it, and after which he went for it. So the tape, from my intel, is with the IGP, and he caused it to be leaked. So if this committee wants the tape, the right person to call before this committee is the Inspector General of Police.
Commissioner, with the greatest of respect, did you verify what your intel told you, or this is a hearsay? Did you have the ocular proof from what your intel told you? Or this is something that you just believe it could be true?
This is not something that I just believe to be true. But, Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't want to say it here, but I can tell you in confidence. I can tell the committee in confidence, but not here.
In camera, okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right. I'm sure.
Now, the COP also accused the IGP of gagging everyone in the police service.
Police. It's not managing the police well. Have you ever had an opportunity to express this, either directly to him or at the police management board meeting?
Honorable Member and Honorable Chair, several opportunities. And what I said yesterday, if you give me the chance today, I will say so again. He is not managing the police service well. And for me, for the 31 years that I've been in the service, I can tell you he's the worst IGP we've ever had.
The Central Command of the Ghana Armed Forces has so far burnt about 16 excavators and impounded over 30 others belonging to illegal miners pillaging the Apamprama Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region. But despite these onslaughts, Joy News still found some Chinese miners raiding the forest. The commanding officer commanding the Central Command of the Ghana Armed Forces, Brigadier General Apamprama, has been sharing his experience in fighting off illegal miners in the Apamprama Forest Reserve. Here are excerpts of Erastus Asaredonko's documentary, Forest Under Siege, focused on the Apamprama Forest Reserve.
These excavators are part of 16 equipment bent by personnel from the Central Command of the Ghana Armed Forces in Kumasi on 7th June 2023. This move is part of an operation by the Forestry Commission to raid the Apamprama Forest Reserve of illegal miners to pave the way for a pilot reclamation exercise. Brigadier General Ajiman Prempe is the General Officer commanding the Central Command. His reaction when he first saw the degradation caused to the Apamprama Forest Reserve by irresponsible miners.
I felt shocked. I felt worried. I felt people were heartless. I felt they were not Ghanaian. And I just say that these are people that we need to ensure that they don't come around here anymore. Because I felt that generations behind have been robbed of something great.
16 excavators have been bent under his watch and a number of excavators seized and parked at the Central Command 4th Battalion grounds in Kumasi.
Once you find it in the forest, we burn. Once you find it along the riverside, we burn. Once you find it an area that is grey, where the individual has been given the rights to mine, we collect the machines and bring them to the command headquarters for you to come and justify with your documents if indeed you have the right to mine in the area.
Even as he continues his onslaught on illegal mining in what is left of the Apamprama, we found many Chinese miners are back to mine in the forest. Some have hit the ground mining, while others have set up camp to continue mining in a forest built for reclamation. You can see fresh excavators, about 8 drums of diesel ready to work. Equipment here and there, you can see the generators and the washing plants. The illegal miners are back. Dr. Stephen Apiatechi is an environmental planning expert and a senior lecturer with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He is worried about the rate at which Ghana is depleting its forest through illegal mining.
If the colonial masters we criticized save these resources, if the lives of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah save these resources, how come our fourth republic, that we pride ourselves as being a democracy, is the one destroying these resources? We should put questions on that. To the extent of discussion, not only forest but water body, is alarming. It doesn't look good for the nation.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
The Public Utility Regulatory Commission, PURC, has appealed to Ghanaians to collectively fight against Galamsey to purge the country's water bodies. According to the Commission, illegal mining activities are contributing factors to the increase in water tariff. The Commission's Executive Secretary, Dr. Ishmael Aka, explained that water bodies in Galamsey-prone areas are being heavily polluted, leading to a significant increase in production costs. Speaking at a tariff education forum for tertiary students on Thursday in Ho, he explained that the Ghana Water Company was compelled to introduce the use of expensive chemicals to treat and purify water from the affected rivers for consumption.
Okay, so when it comes to the water tariff especially, we look at about 4 factors: the exchange rate, the cost of electricity, inflation, and the cost of chemical. Now, before Galamsey became a big issue, Ghana Water was using a chemical called alum to treat the water before they serve customers. Now, because of the nature of water we have now, some places when you go to the Pra and Cobra and other places, they're almost treating mud instead of water. Now that means that even when you want to use the alum, you have to use about 5 times alum before galamsey. Now they are moving towards what we call polymer. That is the chemical they are using now, and that is 2.5 times more expensive than alum. So the implication is that galamsey is making the cost of treating water very expensive, and unfortunately consumers are paying for that. So I also admonish all of us to help fight against galamsey so that we don't bear some of these costs which we shouldn't have bear.
In a related development, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament Joseph Osei is justifying the additional payment of 1 Ghana cedis by consumers on every water bill for water treatment. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission indicated that the cost of treating water sources has become expensive due to illegal mining. But the Deputy Speaker of Parliament Joseph Osei emphasizes that we should collaborate and share the cost.
It is a fair reflection to say that every water body that is used as a source of water supply is polluted. I live at Bekwai. Bekwai doesn't source its water from any of the flowing waters. We use underground water, draw all our water from wells, dark boreholes. We pump them up to distribute. For those living in some part of the country, there's no indication. So it's probably not fair to charge everyone extra money. But it's also, the problem is caused by our inactivity or our connivance, all of us, or many of us, in the places where illegal mining in water bodies are happening. We probably should all share the cost associated with it. Otherwise, it should not be fair to charge places where they are not drawing water from water bodies.
Now, human activities are said to be a major factor accounting for the reason why so many animals are losing their natural habitat. And at the current rate of habitat loss and other activities such as poaching, species such as African lions are projected to go completely extinct by year 2050. However, in their bid to conserve nature, the Apamprama Game Reserve in South Africa is dedicating over 16 hectares of land to protecting these endangered species. Joy News' Blessed Suga visited the biodiversity spot in our report.
Sunrise in the Limpopo province of South Africa. In this area near the town of Hoedspruit, Tikani and her group of conservationists are taking us on a tour to discover what is left of the wild. We're taking an early morning drive in a 16,000 hectare space called the Apamprama Game Reserve. It's a top biodiversity spot hosting the big 5 species that are about going extinct. We're about finding out why this area is so important to conservation and to saving our planet. A turn on the right brings an impala in sight. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, this medium-sized antelope found in eastern and southern Africa is on the red list of threatened species on the verge of going extinct. But Tikani and her eco-conscious team at the Apamprama Game Reserve are fighting hard to conserve nature.
And we are Big 5 reserve, and mostly when we say Big 5, it's like it's not 100% guarantee that each and every game drive you're gonna see the Big 5. We try by all means, guides and trackers, to show you what we have. We have different kind of animal, not only the Big 5. We have other general animal. You can find giraffes, you can find zebras, you can find other small animals. We have animals as little as the little 5, from the Big 5 to the little 5, and all different birds life.
The big 5 species reserved here include this lioness, which has given birth to 2 cubs, a sign of hope for the future. But Tikani tells us that a major factor which could undermine their efforts at protecting these species include poaching.
To us, it's more important, and to all the tourists that come here, because we're still trying to save nature, and even our kids, the next generation, will still find this place still standing as long as we're doing our part in taking care of it. So if we keep doing what we're doing, especially when it comes to rhino, if they're poaching poaching still exists, there might be a time, let's say 10 years to 20 years from now, that we'll see less of rhinos. But if we do our part and report poaching and things like that, the next generation will be able to know what is a rhino.
How bad? There's also the challenge of climate change, which is adversely impacting wildlife.
Climate does change animal behavior. We see that at a certain time of the month, we find animals more in a certain area than in a certain area. Actually, now we are in our dry season. You will see other animals in certain area of the reserve and then other animals in certain area of the reserve, depending what they eat.
In spite of adversity, management of the Kapama Game Reserve is making a solemn pledge to save the planet and to protect biodiversity. This is Ugan's report for Joy News, Limpopo, South Africa.
We take a break, we return with more. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, let's take you to the Upper West region, where the Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien Pungwiri, has expressed worry about the increasing cases of opioid addiction among some health workers in the country. As a result, some of them have died, whilst others have become what he describes as walking vegetables who spend their earnings on peditine, tramadol, and others. He called on health workers to desist from abusing harmful drugs. Dr. Damien made the disclosure at the 14th Annual General Conference of the Pharmacy Technician Association of Ghana, Atwa.
The 14th Annual General Conference of the Pharmacy Technician Association of Ghana, PTAC, was held on the theme, Patient-Centered Pharmaceutical Care, a tool for sustainable pharmacy practice. The 4-day conference brought together members of the association from all 16 regions in the country. Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien Pungwiri, expressed worry over the increasing cases of opioid addiction among the youth, with particular emphasis on health workers. Though he has not given out statistics to back his claim, he disclosed that some have lost their lives, whilst others are what he described as walking vegetables, spending all their earnings on peditine, tramadol, and others.
Of late, there has been an increasing prevalence of opioid addiction among the youth, particularly among health workers. Some have lost their lives through this addiction, while others have largely remained walking vegetables, spend all their earnings trying to buy peditine and tramadol and many others. Some of our actions and inactions may be contributing to this development. When we facilitate access to these otherwise restricted medications, we are promoting their use among the general public. As such, there is a need for you to do your part in helping limit access to unauthorized use of these harmful drugs. We could also embark on public sensitization to create awareness on the negative effects of unauthorized use of such medications.
National President of the Pharmacy Technician Association of Ghana, PharmTech Richard Ofoso Adai, lauded the Pharmacy Council for giving approval for over 11 schools nationwide to gain accreditation to run HND dispensing technology programs, though he agreed that it will give opportunity to many to join the profession and to save the nation. He, however, has some doubts about the efficacy of the monitoring of the institutions.
Now, the University Student Association of Ghana, USAC, has called on the government and the Student Loan Trust Fund to fast-track the payment of student loans. According to USAC, the delay in the disbursement of loans to its members affect them in registering and continue their academic activities. President of the association, Christian Anderson Tefo, says report of non-payment of loans after a long period of applications by students remains a challenge. Nana Bwachiyadom has the rest of the story.
There are reports of non-payment of student loans after a long period of application. This has been the concern of the University Students Association of Ghana. Some students risk not being able to write the exam due to the inability to pay their fees as a result of non-payment of student loans. Addressing the press at the 22nd Annual Delegates Congress of USAG in Kumasi, President Christian Anderson Ntifo noted the delay in the disbursement of loans to applicants defeats the purpose of its establishment.
Safest ways to ensure that our young people are getting education is for government to support it. By government supporting it does not mean that we are asking them to dedicate a huge chunk of their budget just to education. But let's look at how we are supporting with student loans and how we are reclaiming the student loans. Because if we are putting money into the loans and in the end we are not getting back that money, then it means it's a waste of a wasteful venture. But if we are supporting our students, and you can see this very clearly in a lot of the developed economies, where government provides the funding for you to school, and then there's a system in place to make sure that you can reclaim that money. This year we've had a lot of issues with the payment of our student loan. Students can go to school for an entire year and the money is not paid until the very next year, which defeats the purpose for which it is there.
Christian Ntifo wants the government to provide enough funds to ensure the prompt payment of loans for applicants. He says the delays in granting loans during the 2023-2024 academic year must not be repeated.
The best way that we have come to realize that we can protect the education and the academic lives of our students is to provide funds, so that states should provide funds so that they can school and then provide the means. And so we have engaged. This year it looked a bit positive, even though the delay was too bad. But we are hoping that in subsequent years it will be better, and then our students can have easy and accessible education in Ghana.
Guest speaker at the Congress, Abraham Zato, head of research and business development at the DVLA, says opportunities will be created for students to cater for their academic needs.
Engagement DVLA is currently having with USAG is to seek collaboration, partnership, a partnership that is built to last. We have university students developing fantastic products and services. They've been given capacities in various areas. In fact, there's a saying that we are the future leaders, and to be future leaders is to be engaged now in the course of nation development. And so what we are doing at DVLA is to empower students, and the student has all the convenience and all the space to also use that time to undertake their academic exercise.
Reporting for Joe News, Nana Bwachiyadom, Kumasi.
We take a short break. We'll return with business.
Let's do business now. I am Beverly Boom. The Institute of Project Management Professionals Ghana has raised concerns over the persistent issue of unfinished projects in the country. According to the Institute, many unfinished projects not only result in a significant waste of resources, but also disrupt the lives of citizens who rely on the timely completion of these initiatives for improved living conditions and economic opportunities. The Institute stated this at the first International Project Management Bootcamp in Cape Coast. Here's more.
The Institute says it has noted with growing alarm the increasing number of projects initiated by both public and private entities that have remained incomplete. These unfinished endeavors encompass a wide range of sectors, from infrastructure to education, health and agriculture. Council member of the Institute and Chief Executive Officer of the JAM Group of Companies, Dr. Ebenezer Jamra, emphasized the adverse consequences of this trend on the nation.
We say project management, how you can do things at the right time, at the right place, complete on time. So project has a beginning and has an end time. How can we start a project in the country and complete at the right time? What is happening? Is it about monitoring and evaluation? Is it about stakeholder approach? Because we end up blaming people. Are stakeholders participatory involved? Are we monitoring? Is it any good, effective monitoring evaluation? Share how we can plan project, what do you call it, foresight, how we can foresee, how we can draw risk management plan, how we can monitor and evaluate our project. You hear they are saying this stadium costed this one costed this, but what are the ingredients? I want the country to also recognize that the presence of professional project management in Ghana, so that together we can jojo and not be throwing dust into the eyes of many people.
President of the Women's Wing of the Institute, Professor Osei called for more women participation in decision-making and problem-solving in the country.
Why is this important? If you look around, even in our gathering here, you will see. Please count how many women you have around you. You will see that women are severely underrepresented. I also happen to be an engineer, and the situation is probably worse there. And so this is our opportunity to be advocates for women in the profession, so that we are also represented in the kinds of activities and the decisions that are made. Project management is about problem solving, and we'll learn that here at this program. If we are going to solve the problems of the future for ourselves, our country, and the world, we need to have the voice of women also represented. It has been shown over and again in our research that when we have inclusive decision-making and problem-solving, that is when we come up with the best solutions to the problems of the world.
Vice Dean of the University of Cape Coast School of Agric, Professor Julius Hagan, reviewed how many agricultural policies fail due to the lack of technical expertise in project management.
With my experience with farmers and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, we've realized that most of the policies related to agriculture fail at a point. Probably because those who are managing those projects do not have the technical expertise as far as project management is concerned.
The Institute has underscored the urgent need for a comprehensive re-evaluation of how projects are planned, managed, and executed in Ghana. They have also called for a concerted effort from government agencies, private sector entities, and project stakeholders to address the issue efficiently.
Now, the cylinder recirculation model has finally taken off today after previous postponement due to industry concerns. The initiative seeks to centralize the distribution and sales of LPG in the country for domestic consumption. It will allow consumers also to exchange empty cylinders for a filled one at a specific location. Speaking earlier on the marketplace, head of gas in charge of commercial regulation at the National Petroleum Authority, Obed Crane Boache, says adequate infrastructure is in place to roll out the first phase of the CRM.
The recirculation model came about when Cabinet approved the National LPG Promotion Policy somewhere in the year 2017. Now, the goal of that policy was to increase access to LPG from 24% then to 30% by the year 2030. And that goal, we think, is very much relevant today. And so when Cabinet was approving the policy, they gave express directives to the National Petroleum Authority to implement the cylinder recirculation model as the model for distribution of LPG for domestic use. The idea is the cylinder recirculation model allows us to bring LPG to consumers in a less costly and safe manner. In terms of structures, yes, one of the key structures required is the bottling plant. In fact, we did a pilot of the CRM somewhere in the year 2001, and we used the refilling station to mimic the role of the bottling plant. But now we have the bottling plant in place. Also, when it comes to the cylinder exchange points, yes, we have some cylinder exchange points already that are ready to roll out. We are also engaging the LPG marketing companies to begin to transition some of their exchange points, their refilling, current refilling stations into exchange points, also participate in the program. And we have vehicles. We have actors who are already having vehicles, doing some bit of recirculation already. And so we have the transporters whom we have engaged, and they have already some vehicles in the area of transportation already. And so, as I indicated, the idea is to run side by side. So we believe we have some infrastructure to start with the rollout. And as we go on, we gradually roll out as the infrastructure become more visible in most of our communities. We've given ourselves a transition period of 3 years, which is subject to review. As with most policies, I mean, we review the policy as we implement. And so we will continue to engage our stakeholders even as we implement the CRM. And then after 3 years, we'll see where we are and whatever actions we need to take going forward.
That's all for business tonight. You can read more of our stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I am Beverly Broom. Showbiz is next with Becky.
It's time for Showbiz, and we have Becky Bex here in studio. What are we discussing?
This evening, we'll talk about actress Priscilla Opokwa-Gyimah, popularly known as Ahomofe Patricia. It's been a long time. We saw her in movies and in anywhere. So this afternoon, she had a little ceremony. She actually got an ambassadorial deal with Lolly Cash, and I had a conversation with her. She has a lot to talk about the movie industry as well.
What does this mean to you? First of all, I'm really honored. Like you said, a lot has happened, and so this is a really good comeback for me. And also, it has to do with money. Yay! So I'm very excited. I can't wait for people to see what we have in store for Ghanaians, for Ghana as a community, and for customers of Lolly Cash.
That's all. Enough is enough. But tomorrow we get to premiere E-Vibes, new season of E-Vibes, and you know that Chief One is the first guest that we have, and we've been talking about a lot of things, and here is what you should expect. So tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. on the Joy News channel, we have Chief One, the very first part that will be showing, and also on Joy Prime, 4:30 p.m. sharp, we will be live. This evening, if you're looking for a place to be, the whole nation is in Cape Coast from this evening throughout the weekend. So for those of you in Cape Coast, we have Ketchet performing at this particular event, Squad Mixture Orange Friday. And so it's a street jams as well. So for those of you looking at a place to be in Cape Coast, this is where you have to be. Also, Kofi Kinata is performing this evening, also in Cape Coast, and that's called Fit to Fest. So it's essentially the festival happening in Cape Coast, and We're looking forward to seeing all of you. This evening, we're all going to Cape Coast. Please make noise, make noise, make noise about, the Cape Coast, which is happening this weekend. But before we go, we have a new song which is trending. Well, on that note, we end Showbiz. I was hoping that you will dance for us, but it doesn't look like you will be dancing. But you have something to say? There's a transfer.
Sure. There's a transfer countdown that we need to watch out for.
Yeah.
And so we're inviting all our viewers to follow that.
The Joy Sports team will be up next with the transfer countdown. Yeah.
Exactly.
We trust them that they will do a very good job.
Great job.
Stay here with the Joy News channel. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.